Dwight Smith. I'm Vice President of Academic Affairs, and welcome you to the opening convocation of the County College of Morris. After this year, County College of Morris will have been in existence for 45 years. Now, the first portion of the convocation is going to focus on new faces. I'm pleased to welcome our new faculty, and as I read your name, if you would just stand and turn around so everyone can see you. In English and Philosophy, we have John Soltis. And I don't mean to brag on all the new faculty, but they bring so much wonderful experience and energy to the college. And John, we're very excited, is teaching journalism and has had several pieces in the New York Times. So I think our students will benefit from his wonderful background. Dee Meckery, Assistant Professor. Dee, welcome. In Mathematics, we have Kelly Fitzpatrick. You brought your cheering section with you. Very good. And Gregory Solarchik. In Biology Chemistry, Dr. Gregory Arian. And Samantha Fuentes. In Respiratory Therapy, we have two new faculty for the program, John Rakowski, Associate Professor. Thanks. And Michelle De Silva, Assistant Professor. In Nursing, Bernadette Chico. She brought her cheering section too. Psychology, Dr. Krista Nelson, who is teaching class right now, and Kelly Catalano. And in Sociology, Economics, and Anthropology, Sociology, Dr. Olivia Hetzler. Okay. So we welcome the new faculty. We also have some new department chairs and assistant chairs. Department chairs want to recognize Marianne Morano in Health and Exercise Science. And Dolores Riley in Psychology. Assistant chairs, we have John Rakowski in Allied Health and Respiratory Therapy, and Laura Gabrielson, English and Philosophy. Some new staff in the LRC, Lisa Lascaris, Reference Library. And we have a special program that we've just started this fall. We have 5 Drew University interns who are in the Humanities PhD program. And Drew had come to us expressing interest in working collaboratively with CCM on this program, in which students in their program can pursue a certificate in teaching at community college. And they thought no better institution than CCM would be for their students to gain a good experience and to learn from our excellent faculty about teaching at a community college. So I'm going to introduce them and also acknowledge their faculty mentors who will be working with them. We have Johanna Edge. Her mentor is Matt Ayers, so we thank Matt. We have Rebecca Newman, whose mentor is Steve Levy. Steve, thank you very much. Renata Kessler, whose mentor is James Hart. Thanks, James. We have Alice Terrell. Philip Chase is her mentor. We have Larry Arnold and Joe Blotti is his mentor. So we thank you and welcome you to CCM and look forward to wanting you to be involved in the community here and learn from our excellent faculty about teaching and being a faculty member. But I also want to acknowledge the work of Dr. William Day, who is the faculty liaison with Drew and is here in the English department. Bill, thank you so much for coordinating this program. This past spring, we acknowledge faculty excellence in teaching, and as I read your name, if you'd come forward, we have a little medallion and a program for you from the NYSOD Excellent Award. Nancy Banowski, I know she's here, and President Yaw, if you would come forward. These faculty were nominated, by the way, by the deans of their division and recognized again for their teaching excellence. Rick Ettinger. Is he here? No, guess not. Teaching. Okay, very good teaching. Yeah, only good excuse, that's right. Brian Oleksik. By the way, I do encourage you to go down and visit the LHT building. It's a wonderful new building, and we will be having an official opening in the next few weeks. But it's a wonderful facility, and I'm sure Brian would be happy to show it off to all of you. M. Celeste Swain. And Dr. James Henderson is unable to join us, but will be providing his medallion shortly to him. He also just retired this past summer. So again, congratulations to all the NYSOD recipients. I want to acknowledge the work of a team that's been formed in response to a National Endowment for the Humanities grant that County College of Morris received along with 9 other community colleges throughout the country. And if you can ask, you should ask them, what did you do for the summer? They did go to a camp up in Vermont, I believe, to work with teams from other community colleges on this Bridging Cultures to Form a Nation project. And Dr. Jill Shinham, I want to acknowledge her leadership, Dr. Janet Eber, Dr. Maria Lee, Professor Deb DeMatteo, Professor James Hart, Professor Nevis Granero. They are going to be working on some interesting approaches to building cultures, taking a look at ways to revise the curriculum and courses that they teach, to address the goals of this project, and certainly during professional days, perhaps in January and most certainly in May, we'll be hearing more of their work. This is a 3-year grant, and we're very excited. I know Jill already came back with a whole list of things that they would like to do, and we will be very supportive of their efforts this year and the upcoming years. Just a reminder, I mentioned this at the Spring Professional Day, is that this year, if you're asking what are you going to do as Vice President, this is my task. It's the Middle States Progress Review Report is due next June to Middle States, and we will have a draft by the end of the semester. And there are teams that have been formed, and several of you are participating in the work on those teams, and I thank you for your efforts. But we will be responding to 5 different aspects required of Middle States, a look at the recommendations that we made of ourselves, as well as the external team from this 2008 self-study, what opportunities and challenges we anticipate over the next few years, what enrollment and finance trends we anticipate and have seen over the last couple of years, and what we anticipate in the next few years, how we use assessment results. So those, when you, every department chair, I thank you for providing the report, because they serve as the basis to responding and making clear that we're meeting this criterion for Middle States. And finally, linking strategic planning and budgeting. So those are 5 areas that will be addressed in the Middle States Progress Review Report. And as we develop a draft, we will make that available for your review at the CCM website. Just a few other initiatives I want to mention for this academic year. I want to thank Janet Eber, Joe Monahan, and the General Education Committee this past spring, who developed a revision to the board policy on general education. It will be reviewed by the College Council at the upcoming meeting. With the plan is to present it to the board for their consideration and approval by at the October board meeting. Something that will certainly be disruptive to the campus this year, but is exciting by what the outcome will be, and the architects are in the process of revising, and we had a team of faculty and staff working on what parts of the LRC need to be renovated, and they provided some wonderful ideas to the architects, and certainly with Karen Vanderhoof's direction and leadership, giving a clear vision of what the LRC should be in this time of information resources and technology, and how we can better serve students and you as faculty. That will be occurring. And something that I was reviewing my remarks when I first arrived over 3 years now, and I mentioned the notion of scholarship of teaching and learning as a way in which we can document our work at CCM in providing high-quality teaching to students and improving student learning. And in May, we have the opportunity of a visitor who's been involved working with faculty throughout various universities. She's the assistant provost at University of Nebraska at Lincoln and a professor of English who's worked with faculty in development course portfolios, and she will be joining us at the in the May professional day. So I'm very excited about that, and you'll be hearing more about that initiative throughout the year. So that's overview. I want to welcome again all the new faculty, department chairs, assistant chairs, our Drew interns, and welcome all those faculty who are returning for all everything that you've done. And it is now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Edward Yaw, President of the County College of Morris. Is this your 26th or 27th? Something like that. Last year was 20, so it's got to be in his 26th year. And to give you an idea, we are now in our 45th year. So over half the time, he's served as president of the County College of Morris. So Dr. Yaw.
Thank you very much, Dr. Smith, for that warm welcome. And introduction. I too want to give a special welcome to all of our new colleagues, new faculty and staff who are joining us for the first time, and of course welcome back all of the seasoned veterans some of who have come back many times in the past. It's always a pleasure. It's always exciting to start a new academic year. I always like to say there's not a cloud in the sky or a care in the world. That was true, I think, on Thursday. I'm not sure about today. It's a little rainy. But as of the past, I wanted to give you the latest information that I have regarding enrollment. And I'm very pleased to say that our enrollment is up a little bit compared to last year at this time. After the third day of classes, we had 8,674 students enrolled, which is a 1.46, almost 1.5% higher than last year at the third day of classes. That represents also about a 1% increase in student credit hours. It turns out that our full-time enrollment is down a little bit, about 1.7%, but the part-time enrollment this year is up a little bit. We still have more full-time students than part-time students, but we're seeing an increase in part-time students. I suspect, and we'll dig into this data a little more deeply as the year goes on, that a lot of the part-time students are students who would have been full-time but for financial considerations. And I think I want to certainly commend all of the folks in the Office of Records and Registration and Financial Aid and all of the academic advisors for working so hard to get our students into their classes. Frankly, I felt this year's opening was probably one of the smoothest that I can recall in the 25-plus years that I've been welcoming new students and staff. And despite all of the activity in the parking lots, I think it's really quite commendable. And I know that the Financial Aid Office in particular has had to really serve Herculean tasks because all of the changes that are taking place with the federal government and students qualifying for financial aid and the tremendous increase in the number of financial aid applicants that we've had this year. And you know, I didn't realize until fairly recently that they have to consider all of the applications coming, even for students who just have listed us as a possible institution of learning. So they probably do twice as many analysis of students that actually come here or something like that. So it's really quite an amazing task, and they really do it extremely well and happily have taken advantage of technology to make that work even more efficient. I'm very excited and very pleased that we are one of 10 colleges to participate in this Bridging Cultures grant. I think it's a very exciting project. I think we have an excellent team that's working on it, as Dr. Smith has said. I'm excited, too, that it really gives us an opportunity to follow up on a Bildner grant that we received probably about 10 years ago, where we tried to infuse issues of diversity into all of the curriculums here at the college. So I think we're building on something that's fairly strong, and I'm encouraged and enthusiastic that we're going to be able to take it really to the next level. And we're also going to be looking at another kind of related project, which is called Democracy Commitment, which is a co-sponsor of this project. And we may be infusing, again, some activities that encourage our students to become engaged in what's known as civic learning. So there are many aspects to this, some of which are still being developed. But I think in the final analysis, it represents a wonderful opportunity for our students and their learning, and of course a wonderful opportunity for faculty and staff who are going to be involved in the project. Wanted to give you an update on facilities. As Dr. Smith mentioned, we are now operating in the Landscape and Horticultural Technology building. We're very excited about it. The faculty's excited. I'm sure the students are very excited. We finally put in the vegetated roof. I think that was completed over the weekend. We're now, the cisterns are up. We're in the process of putting in new greenhouses. We are planning a grand opening celebration, ribbon cutting sometime later in the fall once the greenhouses are complete, and we'll all look forward to that. It really is a fabulous facility, even though it is a year late and a number of dollars over budget, but it was well worth the wait. Over the summer, our maintenance staff completed renovation of 9 additional classrooms and 5 office suites. As you can see very plainly, the solar project didn't get completed before the opening of classes, which was our plan and our direction to the contractors, but we knew it was going to be very tight. What we did, we needed to have them basically demobilize last Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday before classes started on Thursday, so that they got the majority of their equipment out of the parking lots that are not yet finished. So they'll be coming back on weekends primarily to finish up parking lots 5 and 6 first, and then when those are finished, they'll be working on parking lot 2. We've taken this opportunity as well to repave and restripe parking lots 5, 6, and 9. So it's probably going to be mid to late October before we actually finish the entire project. And as you know, this project is actually a project of the Morris County Improvement Fund, so there's not a nickel of CCM money invested in this project, but we will be the beneficiaries, and we'll have, this project will generate about 45% of our electricity going forward, so that will have there will be significant savings for us going forward. I know there has been and will continue to be great concern regarding the trees that we needed to remove so that their shadows would not be cast on the solar panels. We have made an initial design of replacement trees. Right now, we're looking at only planting about 180, which is short of the 2-for-1 ratio that we had anticipated. But working with the faculty in the Landscape and Horticulture Design building, we've identified where we think the best locations for these trees would be, the kinds of trees that would be most attractive. We'll be planting them in the spring, and we'll take another look at it at that point and see what, if anything, we can do. Quite frankly, we don't want to plant trees just for the sake of planting trees. I've seen some other units, for example, not to mention names, but I will. Novartis recently did their entryway, and they planted a bunch of very large trees all right next to each other, which suggests to me they don't have room to grow. So that's not the kind of approach we want to take. We want to look at aesthetics and our responsibility to the environment as we look at the design and placement of the trees. Dr. Smith did mention the renovation project of the library. It's going to be a very exciting project. Of course, we've got simultaneously going on a fundraising campaign for the complete renovation of the media center. That campaign continues. We've met with many potential donors. We have some commitments. We still have many more to go. But we're excited about the opportunities that we're going to have there. As was said, we hope to go out for bid in October, beginning construction probably in January, so things will be very different. We're finding spaces in other parts of the campus for some of the functions, but some of you may already know that the college is in the process of finalizing the purchase of a building that's adjacent to the campus that's right on Route 10. It's 675 Route 10. It's almost 16,000 square feet. We anticipate that we'll be able to move many, if not most, of the library functions into that building in the fall. We're probably going to close on that either later this week or early next week. It presents a wonderful opportunity not only for us for swing space for these kinds of projects, but also going forward, other opportunities for facilities near the campus, and importantly, an opportunity for direct access to Route 10 for both an entrance and an exit. As you know, if you've tried to get off the campus when we have an emergency, it can take up to an hour to get off the campus. So having a third exit point can be a significant plus for us going forward. Our future projects include, and this will be, again, the Chapter 12 money, renovations of our engineering labs, HVAC replacement in Sheffield, and the Health and Physical Education building and the aquatic facility. I also need to mention Dalrymple House. As you probably know, that child care operation has been subcontracted, if you will, to Neighborhood House for the last 10 years or so. Unfortunately, their contract expired August 31st, and although we had been working with them to try to negotiate a continuing contract, we were not successful in doing so. So they will be right now, basically closing down the child care operation there. It's our intention, once they leave, to do a complete renovation in that building, that is new painting and so forth, and then put out a request for proposals for another provider for child care services. I've asked for, but have not yet received, a listing of any faculty and staff whose children may be affected by this. I don't believe there's any faculty and staff, but if there are, my understanding is that provisions are being made for them at another child care center not too far away in Denville that's also operated by a neighborhood house. So in a sense, it's kind of a sad day because child care has been an important part of what we do for a very long time, almost from the beginning. But we hope that this is going to be just a temporary intermission while we re-look at this and try to find out the best way to move forward. I wanted to comment a little bit about the budget that we're now in the 2013 budget. This year's budget is actually 1% less than our 2012 budget. The decrease, frankly, reflects mostly the energy savings that we've received as a result of our revision of the exterior and interior lighting, as well as the solar project and the anticipated savings there. We don't anticipate any significant reduction in staffing or that kind of thing, but we don't expect any significant increases either. We're trying to hold our own in that respect. We're also beginning to look at, in fact, we're distributing now materials for the 2014 budget, if you can believe it. We've developed our parameters with the approval of the Board of Trustees, and we're essentially looking at a flat budget for 2014. We'll be meeting with the freeholders and their budget committee later this week, on Friday actually, to talk about our needs and their willingness to support our needs for next year. We're hoping at least for flat funding again, as they've done for the last couple of years. Similar, the state support is unknown and always is unknown until June, but we'll have some sense of it in February when the governor makes his budget presentation. Again, we're not anticipating anything more than flat funding from the state for 2014, but we could always be pleasantly surprised with something different, but I'm not too optimistic about that. There are a number of things I wanted to report on regarding student development and enrollment services. Just a reminder, I know that many of you, maybe most of you, are familiar with the retention alert tool that's now available through WebAdvisor. I certainly encourage you to use that. It's very easy to identify a student who seems to be having some difficulty. You can simply make it a notation with some or little detail, and it will be picked up by one of our counselors or an appropriate administrator to follow up with the student. For example, you might have a student who comes to class and all of a sudden stops coming, or perhaps is sleeping in the back of the room, maybe suggesting to you that there's something else going in his or her life that may be interfering with them being successful academically. We want to try to provide all the resources that we can to help all of our students be successful. And this is one of the tools that we can use to do that. So I certainly hope that you will take advantage of that and for the benefit of our students. I also want to remind you, and I know that most of you already do this, and it's really, I think the students have really caught on to this much better than I had anticipated originally, but we really want to make sure that all of our communications with our students goes through our campus email system. No more, well, I won't even try to make up a name because I'll probably embarrass myself, but you know what I'm talking about, at yahoo.com. So they really need to rely on our student email system for official notification and communication with you and with the college, because that's the way we'll be communicating. And of course, we'll be using our second year of Titan Alert for our emergency notification system, for snow closings and other emergencies as they may come up. I also wanted to tell you, and many of you are familiar with this as well, but we'll not be using turnitin.com any longer as a tool for you to track down potential cases of plagiarism and academic integrity. We have a new software tool that we're using that a group of you felt was superior, along with our Center for Teaching Excellence, and that's called Self-Assign. and it's an easy way to analyze student work to determine whether or not it is in fact original work or something that they found on the internet. I need to, and you're going to get a notice about this later today, and this is, I guess, late breaking news, but we did have a part-time employee that we learned on Friday had been exposed or has been diagnosed with MRSA. And you may remember we went through a MRSA issue a couple of years ago. As far as we know, there's only one person. It's a part-time person, works in the health and physical education building. As soon as we learned about it over the weekend, our plant and maintenance staff has done a complete disinfectation of that facility. The person has been advised that he's not to return to work until has been cleared by both the physician and by our health services department, so that we can take care of that. Of course, the precautions are the same as what we've had in the past. You know, making sure that we're washing our hands. We make sure that we're disinfecting every place where that person may have been, and of course, we don't want that person exposed to students or other staff members until we're absolutely convinced that it's been taken care of. So I wanted you to be aware of that. And as I said, there will be a notice going out to all employees later today. There have been some new developments in the technology area. You may have noticed already that we're in the process of completing a complete replacement of our wireless communication system. We're going to have many more stations throughout the campus, and it will be much more powerful and more easy for us to manage. I didn't realize until recently that those of us who carry around iPads and iPhones and so forth, these devices constantly are looking for a better signal, and the impact that they have on the systems like this is really quite substantial. So we think that the system that we're putting in place now, and basically I think it's complete in the academic complex in particular, we're still working out some kinks in this building and Henderson Hall, but it should be far superior to what we've had in the past, both in terms of speed and loss of signal and things of that nature. I also wanted to let you know that in August, the Board of Trustees adopted a new data security policy, which will be distributed in the next couple of weeks. This really has to do with how important it is, and we read stories all the time. You may have heard the story about, I think it was Warren County Community College. Somebody had a laptop with all of the financial aid information on its students on it, and the laptop was stolen. Well, that's the kind of thing that we need to do everything we possibly can to avoid. So that means that this policy addresses the issue of not storing sensitive college-related communications on personal computers or laptops or iPads or things of that nature. Obviously, you have access, you need to have access to take care of your work, but to store particularly information like dates of birth and social security numbers and student IDs and things of that nature would be inappropriate to save or to store on your own devices. So this policy, I think, will make all of that very clear. And again, we will work with you to make sure that it's a smooth operation. Last year, we made it possible for faculty to have access to the network drives, your own network drives, and all of the computers in the various classrooms, so that you could put your presentations up there and you could walk into any classroom and have access to your network drive, or F drive as we've called it. We're in the process now, and hopefully very shortly, we're making it possible for you through for the internet, through the web, to have access to those files from anywhere, so that you can put up your classroom presentations, other information that you have, again, on the F drive, whether from your home or from a conference or whatever the case may be. So the testing is going well, and we think that it'll be ready in the next couple of weeks probably as we go forward. Dr. Smith did mention briefly the importance of linking the strategic plan to budgeting and the Middle States report. We're about midway through our 2011-2014 strategic plan, and we've actually completed about 48% of the 97 activities that we had identified in that plan. So we're well on our way. Of the remaining At least 41% we feel are progressing very well. Another 9% are showing some progress, and there's only one that's showing little progress, and that has to do with identifying 3 additional programs for online delivery, and we're going to wait on that a little bit until we're work out some of the other issues we have. So again, the Middle States preparation of the Middle States Periodic Review Report is a major initiative for this coming semester. And then, of course, we also have the ADA Compliance Task Force report that was delivered and reviewed and approved by the College Council. The Administrative Cabinet and others have been reviewing that over the summer. We're going to be continuing our review in the next few weeks and then presenting recommended changes to policy to the Board of Trustees later in the fall. And finally, there's a number of issues at the state level. I think the last time we talked, the legislature had not yet approved, nor had the governor signed the changes to the NJ STARS legislation. I can report to you now that both houses did approve that pretty much unanimously, and the governor just signed it over the summer. And so that means that going forward, we will have a NJ STARS program for students finishing in the top 15% of their class, and they will have an opportunity for a $2,500 scholarship to attend a 4-year college after they complete the associate's degree, which is one of the reasons why when I speak to new students, as I always do, stress the importance of completing the associate's degree, not only to get better treatment in terms of transfer of credit, but also if they're NJ STAR students to make sure that they maintain eligibility for that scholarship. I'm sure many of you also followed the developments regarding the restructuring, merger. There are many different terms of Rutgers, UMD&J, and Rowan. That legislation was also passed during the summer and signed by the legislature. Folks from those 3 institutions are working very hard right now, trying to figure out how to make this thing work to become effective next September. It's pretty amazing. Nobody knows how much it's going to cost, and that is not anything that's been part of the conversation apparently. But we're concerned about that and the impact that that could have on all the rest of higher education, given that we are in a zero-sum game. Likewise, the bond issue that I've talked about before that's so badly needed was finally passed by the legislature as well for about $750 million. It was not nearly as ambitious as we had hoped for. We had hoped for at least about $2 or $3 billion, and we were also hoping for it to be a revolving fund. It's not going to be $2.3 billion. It's going to be $750 million, and it's not going to be a revolving fund. So we, in the community college sector, have determined how much each institution is likely to get. We will have to make a 25% match, which also was not part of the original conversation. But to get 3 for 1 is still an attractive deal. Now, this bond issue will be on the ballot in November, and so we will be mounting a campaign in conjunction with the trade unions and others who can benefit from this. We haven't had a bond issue since 1988, as I've said before. It's way overdue, and while it's not what we had hoped for, it's certainly better than what we've gotten for the last 20-some years. So it's something that we will support. Whether or not and how we get the attention of the electorate to support this bond, and whether or not they'll have the stomach for bonding even at this level remains to be seen. All the polling that's been done has been very positive, and so we're optimistic, but it's going to be an interesting fall with the presidential election and other elections going forward. Finally, as always, I can't thank all of you enough for what you do every day for our students. As you know, in our strategic planning, our first priority is student success, and we take that very seriously. I know you take it seriously, and I really appreciate the efforts that you make on behalf of our students to make sure that they're achieving at the appropriate levels. And of course, as I always tell them, attending college and being successful is kind of like going to the bank. You have to make deposits before you can make withdrawals. So it's important that they make the effort, but I think when they make the effort, and with your support and the supportive services that we have here, we can be optimistic that our students will continue to be very, very successful. So I thank you very much for all that you do. And so I think that concludes my remarks. Would you like me to see if there are any questions? I can't imagine there would be, but in this group, what questions do we have? Yes, Jefferson. Right. Right. Sure. After we complete the 10th day of classes, that's the official census date, and the Institutional Research Office prepares a facts and figures report, which I think is distributed to everybody, and that will detail all the enrollment data, including the breakdowns by age, by ethnicity, and by county of residence. And will be real interesting to see how that comes out this year. We continue to get more students from other counties than any of the other community colleges in New Jersey, and I suspect that that trend will continue. Unfortunately, some of our neighboring institutions have suffered greatly in terms of cutbacks in financing and so forth from their local counties. And so I think we're seeing more students coming from some of those counties than we've had even in the past. But that data will be available. What else? Okay, well, thank you very much. Have a great academic semester.